They left me at boarding school for refusing to pay my sister's tuition. Then I won $5 million, and they came running back. Can you imagine being 17, and your own family tries to erase your future right out from under you? I'd always been the reliable one, the quiet background extra, until one night, they tried to steal the only thing that gave me hope, and I realized. Sometimes, the people you love the most are the ones who make you fight the hardest. So, I'm Caleb, and for most of my life, I felt like the designated fixer, a background extra in my own family's movie. I'm 17. Most nights, I smell like coffee and fryer oil from my job busting tables at the diner off Route 19. And honestly, I don't mind it. Those tips cover my bus pass, my phone bill, and the little stash I keep in a cracked shoebox under my bed. People call me quiet, but they're wrong. I just learned early on that in my house, words cost more than cash. At home, the spotlight has always been on Hannah, my 15-year-old sister. She's pretty, loud, got this thing Mom calls spark. Mom always said Hannah was our future. Dad, he'd always say she was worth every sacrifice. Me? I was reliable. Sounds like praise, right? But after hearing it for the 400th time, you realize it means you can give up what's yours and not complain. My grandfather, though, he saw me. He saved for me. Not some grand, fairy tale fortune, just a steady, quiet drip. Every birthday, he'd slip me a folded envelope and look me dead in the eye, saying, "Not for snacks, kiddo. For college." He died last year, and that fund he'd grown, small to most people but absolutely enormous to me, was my only lane out. My only chance. I'd count it sometimes when I couldn't sleep. $38,210. That number lived in my head like a prayer. I learned to move quiet. Up at 5 a.m., prepping eggs at the diner before school, squeezing homework onto milk crates in the back during the dead hour between lunch and dinner rush. Teachers liked me because I said I'd do the work, and then I did it. My friends liked me because I never made things a contest. The only time I ever raised my voice was when I was refereeing the younger kids' soccer games. Whistle. Hand up. Call it clean. No drama. That was me. So when Mom texted, "Family talk tonight, 7 p.m. sharp," I figured it was about New Year's plans or Hannah's latest rehearsal. I walked in, still in my apron, smelling faintly of pancakes. Dad was already at the dining table, a stack of papers in front of him, highlighter marks everywhere, like he'd been studying for some critical exam. Hannah was there, chin in her hands, doing this theatrical sigh on repeat. And Mom, she had that soft, sweet smile, the one she uses right before she asks for something huge. "Caleb," Dad began, tapping the papers. "We need to be practical." Practical. That word, right there, was the first trigger. I untied my apron slowly. "Okay," I said Saturday just like that. Hannah rolled her eyes. "Don't be weird about it," she muttered. Mom reached across and laid her hand on mine. "Sweetheart," she said, her voice dripping with artificial warmth. "You know we all sacrifice for family, right?" "Grandpa loved you," Dad chimed in, a little too quickly. "He would want you to share." "Share what?" I asked, even though, deep down, I already knew exactly what they wanted. Hannah let out another, louder sigh. "My tuition, obviously." Mom nodded, like it was already settled. "We found a perfect boarding program for her. Arts and academic excellence, full-year residential. They've accepted her mid-year. We just need to finalize payment before New Year's." Dad slid a figure across the table. $18,900 for the spring semester. "I have school," I said. "My own. Community college can wait," Dad dismissed, waving a hand. "You'll be fine." Hannah tilted her head, a smirk playing on her lips. "You're good at waiting." Mom squeezed my hand, a silent plea. "Say yes, honey." Nobody asked how I'd feel losing my one sure thing. Nobody said, "This is unfair to you, Caleb." They just looked at my face like I was a vending machine they'd fed exact change into, waiting for the soda to drop. But I didn't say yes. Hannah's lip curled. "Ugh, he's being dramatic." Dad frowned, his voice hardening. "Don't make this ugly, Caleb." Mom's smile thinned, her eyes flashing. "We've already told the school." The room went silent. Just the loud click of the cheap clock on the wall and, faintly, the neighbor's TV, a laugh track bubbling through the thin walls. "Grandpa saved that for me," I said. My voice wasn't loud. It didn't shake. "I'm not paying Hannah's tuition with it." Mom's fingers went cold on mine. Dad leaned back, his jaw tight. "We'll revisit this," Hannah muttered, then added, under her breath, selfish. Later that night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling crack that split above my desk like a lightning strike. The house felt too small for the conversation we hadn't finished. I could hear Hannah on FaceTime, selling a story where I was the villain. My phone buzzed, 7 unread messages from my manager about the holiday schedule, 1 from Mom. We'll talk in the morning. I watched the dot blink as she typed, then stopped, then started, then nothing. In the morning, Dad's car keys jingled like a warning bell. I pulled on my hoodie and went to the kitchen. He didn't look at me. Get ready, he said. We're taking you to school first. School's closed, I reminded him. Winter break. He grabbed his coat. Not yours. They drove me out of town, past the outlet mall and the shuttered skating rink, past the billboard that screamed, "Believe in your future," like it was selling toothpaste. I watched the trees turn into stone buildings, old bricks, manicured hedges. The sign read, St. Leon's Preparatory Winter Residency. Mom smiled at the banner flapping in the wind. Welcome, winter scholars. It's nicer than your school, she said, as if that was supposed to be comforting. You'll stay here until classes resume January 8th. I stared at them. You're leaving me here? Dad pulled up to the curb. We asked for a short stay, he said. Structure will be good for you. Good for me. I asked, my voice flat. Or good for the plan where you use my fund. Hannah blew a gum bubble. It popped. Don't be a martyr. We'll sort your paperwork after New Year's. Paperwork. I repeated. Mom lifted a folder. A transfer. Community to St. Leon's mid-year. It's the right move. Your college fund can cover the differential while we redirect the larger portion to Hannah's tuition. You'll be fine, Caleb. It's just math. Grandpa's name is on that account, I said, a desperate plea. Dad's eyes went hard. Our names are on the custodial rights. There it was. The lever. The way they'd always control me. They hauled my duffel bag into a marble-floored lobby that smelled like lemon polish and new beginnings. Kids were rolling in suitcases. Dads were shaking hands. Moms were pointing at bulletin boards. A receptionist in a navy blazer typed my name and slid a key card across the desk. Dorm C, room 214, she said. Welcome to St. Leon's. I looked at my parents, my voice barely a whisper. This is a punishment. Mom exhaled, like I was being silly. It's a reset. Dad checked his watch. We need to get Hannah to her tour. You're leaving me here, I repeated, the words tasting like ash. Stop making this about you, Mom said softly, almost a plea. Hannah, already putting her sunglasses on inside the building, just scoffed. Grow up. They hugged me quickly, the kind of hug that never really lands. Dad's cologne. Mom's powdery perfume. Hannah's fake vanilla lip balm. A sensory snapshot I already hated. Then they were gone. The door hissed closed behind them. I carried my bag up 2 flights and let myself into 214. 2 twin beds, 2 desks, a window looking out at bare trees, and a stone chapel. One bed had a navy comforter neatly folded. A sticky note on the desk. Hey, I'm Liam. I'm back on the 29th. Check the board for snack hours. L. I sat on the empty bed and stared at the wall. I could feel the silence pushing at my ears. My phone buzzed. A group chat from the diner. Caleb, you good for the New Year's brunch shift? We need you, please. Everyone's bailing. I thumbed back a reply. Maybe. I'm locked at school. Long story. When I was little, I used to believe if I worked hard and stayed kind, life would meet me halfway. The past year taught me different. People take what you don't defend. I thought that, then caught myself. God, that sounds bitter. I didn't want to be bitter. I wanted to be fair. My roommate walked in later. Liam. Tall, easy grin. He tossed his bag, clocked my face, and didn't do the fake cheer. They drop you? He asked, like he'd seen it all before. Before New Year, I said. Tough. He replied, then pointed at the window. Chapel has hot cocoa at 9 o'clock. It's weirdly decent. We walked in the cold under strings of white lights. I told him the short version. He listened. Didn't interrupt. Didn't offer a script. When I finished, he just nodded. You're not crazy. People think family means unlimited credit. Back in the room, I counted the fun number in my head again to calm down. 38,210. I could almost hear Grandpa's voice, the way he whispered to me in the garage when he was teaching me to sand a board. You don't have to be loud to be sure, kid. The next day, Mom texted a photo of Hannah on a staircase at a school with columns. Isn't she glowing? I didn't reply. Dad sent a spreadsheet. He actually did. A breakdown. Spring Hannah 18,900. Caleb to St. Leon's differential 3,400. Remaining 15,910 to hold. Summer music intensive for Hannah 6,200. Fall TBD. The subject line said, family plan. I stared at it until the numbers swam. I called Mom. She picked up on the second ring. Sweetheart, she sang, her voice saccharine. No, I said. Silence. To what? She asked lightly. All of it, I shot back. No transfers. No family plan. Grandpa left that fund for me. Grandpa left it to the family. She snapped, switching tactics fast like a car changing lanes. He told me to my face it was mine for college. I retorted. He wrote my name on the envelope. Fine, she said, her voice turning icy. If we can't agree, we'll protect Hannah first. You can stay at St. Leon's until the 10th. Rethink, then we'll pick you up. You mean you'll leave me here for the holiday? I asked, incredulous. I mean you'll have time to stop being impulsive. That night, I worked dish duty for campus events just to get out of my head. Scrape, rinse, rack, repeat. The clatter masked the looping thoughts. On break, I called the bank. Asked questions I was terrified to ask. The woman on the line spoke gently. As a minor, yes, your parents are custodians, but there are rules. If the funds aren't used for your benefit, you can contest. It's messy. Document everything. Okay, I said, a slow, cold realization dawning. I started writing. Dates, quotes, screenshots. Dad saying, we'll redirect the larger portion to Hannah. Mom's, you'll be fine. The spreadsheet. The text where Mom said, we've already told the school. I documented it all. On December 30th, the campus lit sparklers early for the few kids still there. I stood in the cold and watched sparks burn to ash. My phone buzzed. Diner manager again. New Year's Day live TV spot. Breakfast special with local channel. They want a student worker. Pays double. You in? I laughed, a sharp, bitter sound in the cold air. I'm literally locked on campus, I wrote back. Then Liam said, you know St. Leon's is hosting that scholarship show tomorrow? The YouthWorks thing on TV. They're filming in the auditorium. What? I asked. He pointed out a flyer. Winter feature. YouthWorks Live from St. Leon's. They're giving big grants, he said, like stupid big. You got any community project thing? I thought about the diner. Free pancakes on snow days. The way people who couldn't afford heat came just to sit at warm tables. I thought about how I'd started a shelf of gloves and hats by the door from lost and found items and thrift finds. Not because anyone told me to, but because fingers shouldn't burn in January. I thought about the night manager, Mrs. Patel, saying, you turned our shelf into a system, kid. I looked at the flyer again. Application deadline, December 31st, 10 a.m. I have 9 hours, I whispered. New Year's Eve morning. I borrowed Liam's iron to press my only decent shirt. Then I ran to the auditorium with a milk crate of proof, photos, a hand-scribbled budget, a plastic bag of knitted hats with price tags still attached from the thrift store. The hall was buzzing with lights and cables. A woman with a clipboard took one look at my crate and said, you look real. Name? Caleb, I said. From the diner down on 19. You got a guardian here, Caleb? She asked. My school dean signed, I said, holding up the permission slip the dorm supervisor wrote in 5 minutes flat. He's in the back. She glanced, nodded, and pinned a number on me. You're third. Backstage, I practice simple sentences. No metaphors, just facts. Asterisk, we serve pancakes. We built a shelf. We track sizes. We partnered with Mrs. Alvarez's class, who knit hats. We want to scale to 3 diners and 2 schools. We need a van, a freezer that doesn't die when it's cold, and a boring inventory system that works. Asterisk, when the host called my name, I walked out, blinded by lights and the stark reality of cameras. I saw rows of strangers. I didn't see my family. They were touring a campus with columns. What's your project? The host asked. Warm hands, full plates. I said, my heart steady. No one leaves cold. No one leaves hungry. He smiled, like the title clip, just right. I held up a hat, showed the shelf photos, explained how the lost and found grew into a wall of labeled bins. I talked numbers. $1, 200 thrift buys stretched to 300 hats and 140 pairs of gloves. I named where $50,000 could go and what we'd do with more. Not fancy, just useful. The judges asked questions. I answered. One of them said, "You talk like someone who knows his register counts." "I'm a waiter," I said, "and sometimes a dishwasher." They laughed, not cruelly. I felt that quiet click when a story lands. Afterward, I walked back into the wings, lightheaded. Liam crushed me in a hug. "You killed it," he said. Before noon, they wrangled us back out. The host, in his booming TV voice, announced, "Our YouthWorks Grand Award this year is..." He paused, long enough to make us all die a little. $5 million. A trust for the project with a stipend for the lead until he turns 18. I didn't breathe. The host opened an envelope. He read my name. Everything after blurred. The confetti. The handshakes. The mic shoved at my face. The question, "How do you feel, Caleb?" And my answer came out like a warm kitchen in January. They put the number on the screen like a scoreboard. $5 million. The auditorium roared. Somewhere in our town, TVs were tuned in because everyone leaves the news on during holiday cooking. Somewhere, in a living room with a new spreadsheet on the coffee table, my family saw my face and my name. They called within minutes. My phone rattled so hard I thought it would crack. 12 missed calls. Then 29. Then 51. Mom. Dad. Hannah. Mom again. Mom again. Mom again. Texts. "Call us right now, sweetheart. Where are you? You're on TV. We're so proud. We're heading to you. We're outside." I walked back to Dorm C. The campus felt different, like the air had shifted. Liam said, "Want me to stall them?" "No," I said. "I've got it." In the lobby, Mom rushed in first, hands outstretched like a scene in a reunion movie. "Sweetheart, it was a mistake." I stepped back. "No, Mom," I said. "That was a choice." Dad's face was red under his winter hat. "Don't be ungrateful," he snapped. "We were on our way to get you. We saw you on TV and came straight here." Hannah smiled, like we were at a photo op. "You looked cute," she said. "So, we should talk about plans." My palms went cold, and then steady. I heard Grandpa again, sanding board edges. Asterisk, "Go slow. Be sure. This isn't about revenge. Asterisk, this is about closure," I said, my voice even. They froze, like someone pulled a plug and drained the sound out of them. Mom's mouth worked. No words coming for half a second, which for her is a century. Then, "Caleb, you're misunderstanding. We were never going to take all of it. We just needed to help your sister. You know how talented she is. You were going to take enough that I'd have to rebuild the rest." I countered. "You call that love?" Dad jabbed a finger toward the door. "You will not speak to your mother like that." "Like what?" I asked, pushing back. "Like I'm a person with a boundary?" "Don't be dramatic," he said. "You left me here for the holiday because I said no?" I stated. "That's not drama. That's a decision with a date on it. December 29th. Mom reached for my sleeve. "We'll make this right," she whispered. "You'll come home, and we'll start fresh as a family." $5 million is not ours," I said. "It's for the project. It's in a trust. There's a stipend until I turn 18, and you don't get to be custodians of it." I held up the dean's letter, which the program coordinator had handed me earlier. School-appointed adult contact, Dean Harper. They knew exactly how to keep kids safe from parents who suddenly remember their kids exist when there's money on TV. Hannah laughed once, sharp. "Relax. No one's trying to rob you." I looked at her. "You asked me to give you $18,900 2 nights ago." She flushed. "That's different." "Because it's you," I said simply. Dad crossed his arms. "We gave you everything. You gave me a ride here," I said. "Then you left." Mom's voice softened, like a practiced monologue. "Baby, we were overwhelmed. We made a bad call. We know that. Please come home. We'll celebrate. Your grandfather would want us together. Grandpa would want you to keep your hands off what he saved for me." I didn't say. I kept my tone flat. "If you want to celebrate, come to the diner on Route 19 tomorrow. We're doing a free breakfast for anyone who needs a warm place. You can pour coffee, you can bus, you can say welcome in without making it about you." Dad looked like I'd asked him to dig a ditch with a spoon. "We don't do charity stunts." "It's not a stunt," I said. "It's my life." Mom tried one more angle. "We can't drive back empty. At least give us a plan for Hannah's spring. She'll lose her place." "There are state schools," I said. "There are scholarships. There is time. She is 15. Hannah's eyes went shiny in that practiced way. "You're ruining my future." "I'm protecting mine," I said. "That's allowed." The dorm supervisor, Mr. Kinney, stepped closer. Not aggressive, just present. He was a big man with a gentle face and a lanyard full of keys. "Everything okay here?" he asked. "We're fine," Dad said tightly. "We're done," I said. Mom sagged. "Please," she whispered. I shook my head. "Not today." They didn't slam out. They didn't scream. They just deflated in stages and left a fog of expensive cologne and a trail of texts. When the door sealed, my phone began its drumbeat again. 67 missed calls by night. 14 voicemails. 39 texts. Screenshots of enrollment deadlines. Photos of Hannah looking tragically put upon. A selfie Mom took in the car with red eyes and the caption, "We love you. You'll regret pushing us away." I put my phone face down and went to the chapel for cocoa. January 1st, at the diner. TV trucks showed up like we'd planned it that way. The owner, Mrs. Patel, actually cried when she saw the check for the first trench from YouthWorks. It wasn't $5 million in a briefcase. It was a clean, careful system. Quarterly releases, oversight, boring paperwork. It felt like guardrails. It felt like someone finally believed in the small, not the showy. We set up a table by the door with baskets of gloves sorted by size, hats by color, because kids pick colors before sizes. The cameraman asked me, "Want to do a soundbite?" I said, "I'd rather pour coffee." He filmed my hands anyway. Around noon, the door chimed, and my family walked in like a storm you can see from miles away. They didn't take off their coats. They looked around like we'd set a trap. Customers stared because everyone stares when expensive coats are worn indoors. "Hi," I said. Mom stepped forward. "We're here," she said, like it was a gift. "You want a section?" I asked. Dad bristled. "We're not here to eat. You're in a restaurant," I said. "Pick a seat or wait outside." Mrs. Patel slid up beside me like a shield. "Welcome in," she said to them, exactly like she said it to everyone. "Coffee." Mom's mouth opened, then closed. She looked at the people in parka hoods hunched over pancakes. She looked at the camera. She recalculated. "Yes," she said. "Coffee would be great." They sat in a booth by the window. I brought cups. Mom grabbed my wrist. "Sweetheart," she said quietly. "Come home." "My home is fine," I said. "It's quiet. It has a key card." She swallowed. "We made mistakes." "You made choices," I corrected her. Dad leaned in. "You think you're better than us now?" "I think I'm allowed to protect what's mine," I said. Hannah rolled her eyes. "He's obsessed with money." "I'm obsessed with being seen as a person," I said, looking her straight in the eye. "Money just happens to be where you try to erase me." A man at the counter, Stan, who wears 3 layers even in July, called out, "Kid, we're out of syrup." I refilled. I laughed at his joke about the weather. I pointed a little boy to the green hat he wanted. I carried plates that smelled like cinnamon and butter. It felt like breathing. When I checked back, my family was gone. The cups were half full. There was a $20 under the sugar caddy, like they were doing me a favor. I left it there. Mrs. Patel slid it into the tip jar for the dishwasher. That night, the text slowed from demands to memories. Photos of me at 6 in a paper crown. A video of Grandpa showing me how to tie a fishing knot. "We love you," Mom wrote at 1:12 a.m. "We were scared," she wrote at 1:18. "We can fix this," she wrote at 1:23. Answer, Dad wrote at 1:34. Then nothing until morning. Days built a rhythm. School meetings about independent study hours. Calls with the YouthWorks coordinator about the van purchase and freezer specs. A spreadsheet I made that didn't steal from me. Work at the diner. Sleep that felt like sleep, not collapse. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb and checked it twice a day, like a grown-up with healthy boundaries would. When people asked what I did with my $5 million, I gave them the same line. "It's not mine. It's for the work." I'm staying boring about it. Boring work is hard to steal. Drama is easy. The first week of January, Dad left a voicemail that wasn't angry. "I saw the news clip," he said. "The hat wall is smart." There was a long pause. "I'll be at the diner Saturday, if you want." He hung up without telling me what to do. He showed up. He poured coffee awkwardly. He learned how to say, "Syrup's on your left." He said, "Happy New Year," to a woman who didn't meet his eyes because life had taught her that family men can be cruel. He looked tired by noon. He didn't lecture me once. It wasn't an apology. It was at least a scene where we were both human. Mom came the week after. She cried at the door, and I didn't fix it. She dried her face and asked where to stand, and Mrs. Patel handed her a rag. "Wipe menus," she said. "Everyone hates sticky menus." Mom wiped. That was it. That was a start. I'm not going to pretend the story turned into a movie where we all hug in front of a sunset and credits roll over a dancing montage. That's not how it went. Real life is quieter. Messier. There were still texts that felt like traps. There were tense silences where Dad wanted me to be reasonable, and I told him my definition out loud. There were days Hannah posted little digs online that said, "Some people only care about money," with a broken heart emoji. I muted her and went to work. I wrote my own rules down, not because I needed to post them anywhere, but because seeing them made me proud. Rule 1. I don't give from fear. Rule 2. I don't loan to people who call my no selfish. Rule 3. I don't explain boundaries twice. Rule 4. I keep receipts, literal and emotional. Rule 5. I choose where my generosity goes. I keep Grandpa's note in my wallet now. It says, in his shaky old man script, Caleb, college. It doesn't say everyone. I let that sentence rewrite the voice in my head. The fun stayed intact. The program's trust stayed boring. The van arrived, white, dentless, with a heater that actually works. We stocked it with gloves and pancake mix and a first aid kit, because Mrs. Patel insists. We added a second diner across town. We're setting up a third with a church basement where the floor always smells faintly like lemon cleaner and old hymnals. Sometimes I pass St. Leon's Chapel at night, and I watch my breath cloud in the air, and I think about the week I learned the difference between a mistake and a choice. Sometimes I stand in the diner door and count heads, not dollars, and I feel something like peace, not triumph. Just steady. Mom still says sweetheart, like she's testing if it still fits. Dad still believes spreadsheets can fix hearts. Hannah still wants the world to see her the way she sees herself. None of that is my job to manage. People asked me what I told them the last time we sat down together. Simple. We were at the diner, not at home. It was a Tuesday. Quiet. I put my hands on the table so they wouldn't shake and said, I love you. I won't be your emergency fund. I won't be your apology for bad planning. I won't be your proof that you raised a saint. I'll be your son if you let me be a person. If you can't, I'll be fine without you. Mom cried. Dad stared at the salt shaker like it had answers. Hannah didn't show. That part hurt, and didn't both at once. This isn't about revenge, I said again. This is about closure. I walked them to the door when they left. I didn't watch them drive away. I flipped the sign to open for the late lunch rush, tied on my apron, and went back to the line. A guy at the counter asked if the green hats came in blue. I said, check the second bin from the top. He found one. He smiled like he'd won a prize. I'm 17. I'm a waiter. I'm the kid who got left at a boarding school before New Year because I said no, then got seen on TV the next day and watched people remember my name in real time. I'm also the kid who learned a yes means nothing if your no isn't real. I don't owe anyone the version of me that bleeds to feed them. I owe my future the steadiness of a person who can look at their own hands and trust what they're building.